There's been a lot of questions that I received recently, specifically around TikTok. To give everyone an idea of who I am. So my name is Mike. I've been a realtor. I've been in real estate for 14 years or something like that, as a registered realtor in the last three. Before becoming registered, I was doing social media marketing, advertising, paid pushing, traditional marketing, anything to get realtors and mortgage brokers businesses in front of the right people. So obviously, when I started, Facebook ads was like just coming out, and there's been a tremendous amount of change since then. So, what I've been doing is testing a number of things across a bunch of social media accounts in different niches and finding what sticks. More recently, was talking to a couple of like past clients, and they were wondering, how do you get going with TikTok Live? They had seen a whole bunch of people having huge audiences, converting a ton of business, specifically through TikTok Live. So we ran them through the gambit, and I'm going to show you some of the results that they've been getting in the last like 60 days. And I'm under the understanding that TikTok Live is going to be a very viable free lead generation system for years to come. TikTok is investing a tremendous amount of R&D dollars into making the platform even better. So I think that people who are picking up early on this, beyond the like gaming streamers or the people who sit there and just get gifts all the time, I'm talking people who are actually using this for professional services advertising are going to do incredibly well. So what I want to do is just spend a little bit of time today and essentially give you a foundation that you can take. And if this was something that you wanted to do going forward, you would have every tool available to go and do it. So let's talk about how we're going to be dominating your market with TikTok Live. Now, there's four main reasons I think it's going to be the biggest impact for service providers going forward. One of them is organic reach. There is nothing else out there that currently has organic reach when it comes to social media efforts that you could be putting in. What I mean by organic reach is, on Facebook, if you put a post, or on Instagram, if you put a post, you might get like 300 people that look at it. Most of the time, and you can see the stats in the next page, we're talking like thousands of people per clip in a live with tons of viewership. It's a trust accelerator. You are live with other people. It's almost like meeting them in real time. There's interaction that acts as the high speed trust accelerator. It's a very, very, very low cost, even free if you already have some of the equipment, which is essentially a decent phone and some lighting. And the thing is, and you can see it from my one of the example that I pulled, in the last 60 days, there was actually one of my connections that was getting paid to talk about their expertise by the viewers. So it's a really interesting, we'll call it a sub economy that can also be quite rewarding, even financially for you. And it gives you the instant authority. In Ottawa, I think there's maybe one or two mortgage brokers that are going live on a regular basis. If there are realtors that have been going live in Ottawa, specifically where I live, I haven't seen them. And I'm helping and testing probably about 10 different niches of TikTok sort of accounts and never seen one realtor yet. So it does give you that instant authority. You have your personality and your expertise, and you're connecting instantly with your audience. Now, we talked a little bit about results. So I looked across and found the most likeness in one of those 10 accounts. And it was this one specifically is for a financial planner. In the last 60 days, they've had just under 18,500 views, which is defined as 2 minutes or more. We'll come back to the diamonds thing because that's kind of a TikTok funny thing. They've been live 120 hours, so approximately an hour and a half to 2 hours a night. They've made a ton of new followers, tons of engagement on their lives, and have met, a bunch of people who are actually giving them gifts. So what that means is if you've ever been in a TikTok live and you see, the graphic for, whatever, a rose or a heart or something like that. That's a monetary exchange, right? So that's somebody watching your content, enjoying your content, and then paying you for that content. So these are pretty huge numbers. I think it resulted in him getting about 15 million of assets under management, of new assets under management. So that's a pretty considerable uptick in his income. And again, he was doing it an hour and a half, 2 hours a night, which is more consistent than what I would recommend, but he's actually enjoying the daily updates. He's a guy that lives to work and, works to live. So he's really into his practice. He has a ton of leverage because if you're going to be doing all of this content anyway in individual videos, just talk about it on a live, and then you can go back using TikTok's tools and clip all of the moments that you want, right? So in the last 60 days, he also made $345 US from those little gift things. And again, like tons of new followers. So 111 new followers in 60 days is pretty considerable, right? So, and that's only counting the ones that followed him on his lives. It's not taking into account the growth that he's had outside of those lives. So the numbers are staggering. They tell me that there is a lot of attention being spent in TikTok lives. So let's go out and see if we can capture some of that attention. So, do we need to dance and do trends and be an influencer? Hard no to that. Otherwise, I would never, ever, ever, ever suggest that for anybody in a professional stance. That's my take on professional posture and how we should be presenting ourselves. Um, what actually works is going to be answering real questions from the chat, right? So the chat has been traditionally quite engaged in the discussions as you're talking about financial planning practices with this past, he's a friend, so I'll say a friend. But as you're talking about real estate in your lives, if you choose to do them, you're going to be able to answer very specific questions and address like actual concerns of your audience, which is a huge, huge, meaningful step towards building trust. You get to explain the market simply, right? Position yourself as the authority, but not making things complex, right? People want easy these days. People want to know what's a buyer's market, how does it impact them on a very tangible, consumable way. Okay, being regular in your lives, you're consistently visible, and you're going to have that top of mind awareness. This is essentially like, cold marketing because you don't know these people, but it's on steroids. It's predictable. You're going to get people tuning in regularly, asking regular questions. On each night, you might theme it, and then they will be in, multiple nights in a row in a week. There's a lot of really good stuff that can be happening from TikTok lives right now. Now, what do you have to do? Obviously, there's a few steps that you need to take. One of them, you should have a TikTok account. If you have 50 followers, 50, you're going to be able to jump on TikTok live using your computer. If you have 1,000 plus followers, you'll be able to do it on your mobile device. So if you have a laptop, just like I'm talking to you here, all you need is 50 followers. You can generally get that by asking friends and work connections and me, and, we'll send it to our network, and, you just ask for your followers, you get your 50 and away you go. So once you're live, and we're going to talk about kind of the setup a little bit later on, it really is as easy as saying, city prices have just shifted. Here's what it means to you if you are buying or selling right now, right? And that's going to be your first opening hook. It's also going to be something that you repeat every 50 to 15 to 30 minutes. The reason you'll want to repeat it is because you're continually being dripped a new audience. And if that audience joins in, stays around as you finish off a question, but then doesn't know where you're going next, there's going to be a drop off. So, having a hook like that, having a few of them, maybe just set out, here's 5 different hooks that I can take, and then an introduction for yourself, and just rinse, repeat that every, call it 30 minutes. And during that live, you're really doing exactly what I'm doing to you. You're going to answer questions. You're going to deliver a little bit of value. You're going to break down some deals, and you're going to use real life examples, which is going to add a tremendous amount of trust and credibility to your system. Now, We're going to talk a little bit about how awkward it is at the start, but then once you're rolling, it's really a process that takes kind of this formation of its own and really, really, really works towards helping you become more confident on camera, which results in better questions and better answers and all that fun stuff. But that is the very simple formula. Have some repetitious hooks, so five of them, and then an introduction for yourself. And then the entire rest of the time, you're just delivering value, right? Is there a deal of the week that you can review? Is there, reviews of three investment properties in your city that you could be doing and how you come to the numbers to decide if it's worth investing or not? There's a lot of different stuff that you can do in there. Tell stories about real estate. So, super simple formula. Just keep that in mind. You need a hook and you need to deliver value. The rest is fairly straightforward from there. The content. Now, I'm always a big believer in AI to help shape content. It's going to always be more powerful if it's something that you're actually going through on a regular basis. But some ideas, and these are some of the most questions that you are going to face while live. Is now a good time to buy? Okay, well, what does that mean to you, Mr. Chatter, or whatever that is, right? What does 500K get you in your in city? What are the biggest mistakes sellers are making right now? How much do you actually need to buy a home? Now, this one's quite interesting because the my buddy who is the this financial planner, actually gets real estate based questions a lot. Now, what he did is he actually downloaded the Canada Mortgage app and would actually do like live pre-approvals through the app and then send them to one of his connections who is a mortgage broker. Now, that person, you would never post the results of the pre-approval, but he would say, hey, why don't you follow me? Send me your email in a DM and I'll connect with you and we'll get this done. So he's actually had a couple of referrals to a mortgage broker and a few to me through his lives, which is exactly what we want. We want our networks all growing together. And then, your content idea of like the live deal breakdown. A lot of the times when, especially with the HST rebate, there's a ton of builders in Canada that are selling homes at fantastic prices with that HST rebate. You can break those down, talk to people about what it means, how they're going to spend their 13% or whatever that might look like, and just continually answer questions that pop up. Now, I do want to check in. Are there any questions in the chat or that you guys have? You can just kind of speak out, and we'll give you 5 seconds. And if not, I'm going to move on.
What about if someone doesn't have an account in TikTok?
Yep.
What would be the best course of action for this?
If they do not have one,
That's right.
yeah. So, you would start one, keep it as a personal account, and hit up your coworkers, your network, your past clients, or whatever that might be. And your first milestone is getting to 50 followers, right? So when I first started, I was doing two or three agent previews each day, where I'd go through a house, I'd take a video of it with the listing agent's permission, and then post it on, whatever social media that I had at the time. Now, that would work really, really well on TikTok. That's the easiest video you can make. Here's what $788 or so here's what $788,000 gets you in Ottawa. My name is Mike Ouellette. I'm with Metro City Property Group with Northern Alliance. And here's what, $788,000 gets you. And then do a quick tour. Then at the end, you go, if you're interested in a house like this or other houses in Ottawa, feel free to give me a call at, here's my number. So I would do that until I hit 50. And then once I hit 50, I would start going live on my laptop or on my computer. And then during those lives, you have an opportunity after the fact to actually start clipping videos out of it. So in the video, when I'm talking about is now a good time to buy, I'll take a quick mental, I'll write down what time in the live that was being discussed. And then once I'm off the live, I'll go back into the app, I'll clip that out, post it as a video, away we go. You should very easily get 4 to 5 pieces of short form content per live that you get. So that's how I would build a TikTok account if I was doing it today.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Great question though. All right, so let's talk about kind of how this turns attention into clients. It's very important to know that TikTok Live is the equivalent of a cold marketing pitch. It is ultimately a cold sales call with additional FaceTime that helps to accelerate the process a little bit more. How I've seen it work most successfully with service-based businesses, you're in the TikTok Live, someone asks a question, you answer the question, but that doesn't start there. It doesn't stop there. It actually starts there. You say, I hope I answered your question correctly. Feel free to drop me a follow and send me a DM. I would love to hear more about your personal experience or whatever that might be. You want to get them into a direct message, have that conversation. And then at some point, it's naturally going to go to, hey, listen, I've enjoyed this conversation. I really want to help you out. Why don't we grab coffee? Or why don't you come by my office? Or why don't I come check out your house? Or whatever that might be. And then we're into the deal flow pipeline that is more typical of, realtors. Okay. There is a nurture period. People will watch you for weeks before they actually reach out. So consistency is key. The other side of this is that you're actually building this at scale. So I take a look at my buddy who's the financial planner. He had people from other provinces where he's not licensed reaching out to him and say, hey, I really like what you're doing. I want to work with you. And he says, well, I can't work with you on this. However, I know a very competent agent or a broker in your area. Why don't I connect you with them and I will work alongside them to continue your kind of wealth management approach. Similarly, if I were to be live and someone comes in from Edmonton, I'm going to go find a realtor in my network and say, hey, I got someone. This is how I met them. This is where they're at. This is the information I have. I want 25% or 30 of that referral. So this is a big boy play in that you can really expand this beyond Ottawa, but while fielding those, you're also becoming a primary authority in your city. Okay. So it is trust at scale. You can monetize every single person in there, and you're going to build a tremendous amount of authority in your local city. Here are the expectations though. And it's something that I've noticed across all of the accounts that I've been kind of following and testing things in. Your first few lives are always tremendously awkward. TikTok doesn't know who you are. You probably don't know who you are, and things are going to feel a little forced. This is where a script is very important. You can also reach out to some trusted individuals to say, "Hey, this is what I'm doing. I want to grow this side of my business because I heard from Mike that it's a great way to do it. Can you drop into my live tonight and kind of stage a couple questions to help get the ball rolling? And that will also show that you do have, some content afterwards, right? So you will read what the chat says and then answer the question. So when you go to clip it, you're going to say, oh, I see Chad has a question. Here's the question. Here's my answer. Clip. Done. Right. So your first couple, they're going to be really awkward. You're going to be wanting to crawl out of your skin. Next 5 to 10 is where you're going to start getting some pretty meaningful traction. And then what we found is generally the 20 plus lives, you're now starting to get inbound leads with people who are reaching out to you and talking to you. So keep this in mind. It is awkward. Just like cold calling is, just like door knocking is, just like your open houses are, everything is awkward at the start. But if you stick to it and you keep going, you will be fine. And you are going to love the results after, a couple of weeks when people start to really know who you are, tune in, and TikTok starts putting you in front of the right audiences. Setup. It really doesn't take all that much, right? A phone, if you have 1,000 followers, a phone. If you have 50 followers or you're working towards 50 followers, a computer, because computer will let you go live quicker. There's something about the safety or something of the phone interface and how it can be transported. I don't know for sure. So phone or computer with stable internet. I'm going to jump to the first one there. And then you want some decent lighting, right? Right now, where I'm sitting, there's a lot of overhead light. It gives my brow a little bit of a darker effect. kind of the black eyes underneath. What you want to have is a very small ring light, attach it to your computer, or if you have, a bigger setup, you can have a full LED panel. Keep it sort of at a 45 degree, about a foot ahead of above your head and pointing down, and you're off to the races. It doesn't have to be a overly thought out process. Now, quiet. It needs to be quiet. And that's the thing is you are doing this professionally. It is likely that you're going to be doing it out of your home. So, an understanding that, for the next hour, you need a quiet, uninterrupted space. A lot of the things that I've been testing, I have 3 kids, but I don't want them on the internet yet. So anytime that I'm going live on any of the processes, any of the accounts that I have had, I'm typically telling my family, "Hey, I need an hour, hour and a half. Please don't come into the office." Because and the reason being is I don't want you in the camera shot yet. So I'm not building a lifestyle brand. I was testing a whole bunch of different other stuff. Same thing with my buddy who's the financial planner, is he didn't want his family in there either. So phone or computer, decent lighting, quiet space, and stable internet. And this is the setup. It's super simple, super easy. Anyone can do it. How we're going to stand out. Here's the thing. Even in their content videos, most real estate agents are robotic, right? They have a script. They're, a little bit scared or camera shy, and they're just reading off that script and then touring a house, whatever. They typically don't have a ton of personality into it. And hopefully you're going to be real, mildly entertaining. But the one thing that we have control over is our confidence. It is very strange, as I said, to talk into a camera, especially when there's no one in the live to begin with. But as you continue and as you get comfortable talking in front of a camera, you are going to be in a situation where you're going to really start to like the results. I think there's an option on TikTok that you can actually remove the viewer count, which I've come to understand helps a little bit. I mean, realistically, I can't see how many participants are in this right now. I could be talking to no one, and you guys might just really enjoy the video replay afterwards. So I can't see the viewership. I'm still talking as if there was 600 people in here. I would not change my cadence or my volume or anything like that. So I recommend kind of doing the same. Be yourself, be, on camera, be well put together, and talk about the parts of real estate that you love talking about because it will come out. Here's what's going to kill your results. Inconsistency is the single biggest one. TikTok loves consistency, and this doesn't mean that you have to do it every night. What this means is you have to pick a couple of nights, schedule it in, and not change it, right? You're also going to be conditioning your viewers to say, every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 p.m., Mike goes live and he talks about real estate, right? So those Monday or Tuesday and Thursday or whatever days I said there, those are days where people could come to expect you to be live and talking about real estate. No engagement with the chat is another absolute killer. And like I said, if you go in and there are no viewers and you are silent, TikTok is not going to spend any effort pushing you out to people who even might be interested in what you say. So whether there's 0 viewers or 100 viewers, cover your content, talk about what you want to talk about. If you are passionate about real estate, it should be very easy. And if you're not passionate about real estate and you just want it because it's a sweet paycheck, go to ChatGPT, get a bunch of content pre-written for you by the machine overlords, and come back in and talk about that information. Now, call to action. This one is single-handedly the most important part. I've seen amazing information be delivered and then it just ends, right? If I'm telling you, if I get a question from a seller and they're like, I've been trying to sell my house and I'm thinking of changing agents or whatever, what should I be doing and how do I maximize the sale value of my house? I would say, here's all the ways that you maximize the sale value of your house. By the way, whenever you're done with that contract, feel free to reach out. Would be happy to chat with you, right? At least it puts a seed in their mind that they can reach out to me directly and sort it out. Trying to be perfect. Just let's accept it for what it is. There's no such thing as perfect. You are going to go on there. You will likely fumble your words. You will likely mess up. And the best thing you can do with that is create a B-roll bloopers chat or B-roll bloopers video that you can post at the end of the week and everyone can laugh and have fun. And it shows that you are human. Don't try to be perfect. Just go out there and chat about what you want to chat about. Okay. Game plan. If this is something that you guys are interested in, if it's something you think could be valuable to your existing marketing strategy, if it's something that you just want to go all in on and try your hardest, here is the game plan. Super simple. Now, I know some of you may be new to TikTok, so your first steps are to open a TikTok account, get to 50 followers as fast as possible. And then once you can go live, I want you to go live 2 to 4 times a week. Doesn't have to be more than 60 minutes. It's got to be a minimum of 30. That's when the algorithm starts to really kick in. And if possible, do it at the same time each day. I want you guys to train the algorithm that if it's 8 o'clock on a Tuesday or whatever, you are the person that is talking about real estate in this area. And TikTok is going to take that algorithmic formula and force people who are interested in all that content to then watch. TikTok is not all about memes and laughs and brain rot. There are some valuable sections and informative sections of TikTok. So make sure that you carve your little piece of pie out in that area. It's going to be incredibly helpful to your business if you stick with it. I would not be surprised if someone were to do this that they're getting a deal a month with this. There's a tremendous amount of opportunity out there. I'm looking and seeing what the mortgage broker that we're testing this for, the financial planner that we're testing this for, they are reaping some incredible benefits to their business by doing this. And like I said earlier, the certified financial planner is getting a whole bunch of like weird digital currency type things through TikTok. And, 345 bucks every, 60 days is pretty good beer money in my mind. So, may as well give it a go. It is it is work. It is prospecting. In my opinion, I think it's a lot more fun than cold calling is. But if you think that it can work in your business, and you're willing to commit to growing your account to 50 and going to 2 to 4 times per week, I am more than happy to answer questions directly as you guys deliver that information. So you can reach out to me directly through the Northern Alliance email. There's going to be a replay of this, or if you reach out to Mike at metrocitypg.com, really happy to help you guys through this next stage of your businesses. So I believe that's the last one that I had. Let's open this up to questions. Jim, nice to see your face. How are you?
Good, you.
Oh, very well, very well. Um, so we have probably about 10 minutes to rip through some questions. I know there was a fire hose of information, and sometimes it's on a topic that, requires a little bit of vulnerability to actually go out and do a live like that. So, any questions?
Not for me.
Perfect.
I think you did a perfect presentation. It's good.
I appreciate that feedback. We'll tell the higher ups and we'll go for a pay raise. Elvis, how we doing over?
You were mentioning you were mentioning something about the first 50
Yep.
um, followers, and if you don't have an account, how do you get those 50 followers? Let's say you still have your Facebook, your Instagram, and how TikTok can actually invite these people.
Yeah, so great question. So are you active on Facebook and Instagram?
There are a few things that I do, especially ads that I put in there, but not active in terms of broadcast and anything like that. No.
So first of all, so you make your TikTok account. How many people do you know that are like friends and family that would actually just support you for no reason?
Probably we're looking at 20, 30 so far.
Great. I
Yeah.
have I have access to another 15 accounts just through random stuff that I've been testing that I operate. Um,
Mhm.
and I think it's just a matter that first 50 push is really just a matter of putting it in those people's hands to support you early on. Now, that's cheating a little bit. If you want to earn those 50, what I would do is I would go onto your Facebook, I would go onto your Instagram and say, hey guys, it's Elvis, your favorite Ottawa realtor or whatever. Um, you know, I've been enjoying the conversations and the content that we're sharing on these platforms. I'm also starting, a TikTok where I'm going to document my journey, whatever you want to say there. Would love for you guys to go and follow at, Elvis Awesome in Ottawa dot whatever.
Yeah.
So that's what I would do there. And then, like I said, I don't know how, well, let me just ask the question. Where are you at in your career?
In terms of, well, I mean, so far I'm a realtor, um, I've been doing this for the last 6 years.
Okay.
Um, Also working with buyers and sellers.
Yep.
And as I mentioned before, in three different cities. So,
Okay. So
mhm.
let me ask you point blank. If you were to look at your schedule today, do you have 2 hours anywhere in that schedule?
I do. Yes.
Okay. So what I would do is I would reach out to agents that are in the markets that you want to serve. Say, hey, I just saw your listing at 123 Banana Street. I'd love to do a walkthrough and a video if that's okay. When I first started, I was doing those, and I think I only had one agent that said no, screw you. A lot of the times they're like, yeah, sure, whatever, just make sure that you tag me or something like that. Just say, I'm trying to build my TikTok. I want video content. This home is beautiful. Would love to showcase it and hope to bring you a buyer. So pick three properties within a couple minutes of themselves, go through, do each of them. Whether it's the same price point or not is completely irrelevant. Whether it's a home that you would actually sell or not is irrelevant. And, same thing, right on the front step, you're going to go, hey guys, it's Elvis. This is what $599,000 gets you in Barhaven. Walk through the house, video it. If there's something funny that stands out or whatever, pay some extra attention to it, and just talk through, like do a video walkthrough and then post that video walkthrough and then go to the
Yeah.
next one. Um, and what I would do is the videos for a brand new account, what I would do is I would spend probably 1 to 2 videos a day is more than enough. Any other additional content, I would start to edit it and put it into a draft just so you can post it on days that are a bit busier. Um, and I would do that. So if I had a couple hours a day, that's what I'd be doing.
Perfect. Sounds
Yeah.
good.
And it
Thank you.
makes great networking opportunities in the city as well.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Thank you.
Yeah. But yeah, once it's up, send it around to people and just say, hey, I started a TikTok, would love your support. Here's what I plan to do on it.
Yeah.
And I think one thing that people are going to underestimate is the power of interviews on TikTok as well. So, if you have a mortgage broker that you like working with, grab some content with them. If you have a home inspector or whatever, make sure that you bring them up and you feature them. One thing that I did on YouTube very early on, which had a lot of success, was showcasing local businesses and specifically restaurants. So I would just interview the restaurant owners and just say, hey, if you guys are thinking about moving to the Glebe, you're going to have to check this spot out. I'm sitting with Adam at Cantina Gia, and tell us a little bit about the business. Tell us about the area. What do you love about the Glebe or whatever market you want to sell in? And that's also fantastic content on the growth side of things to get
Hmm.
followers. But then, and
Yeah.
once you're doing your lives, you're going to find that there's a tremendous amount of content that's discussed. And then you just say, oh, okay, I had a good question from, a potential buyer at, 20 minutes into the live. I'm just going to make a little note on a post-it note down to my right that, 20 minutes in, there was a good question. After all is said and done, you just go into your app and there's a great editing tool where you just pull the segment and you just post it right away.
Good ideas. Okay.
Yeah, and that's the thing is their ideas. And, I always like to say, like, you don't have to do everything that everyone is telling you to do on these trainings. There's a really, there's unlimited things that you can do to grow your business. Um, And with that, you're going to find what you actually like doing and what you don't like doing. And, I would imagine that there's people that are going to try to go live. They're not going to enjoy it because the first couple are a little bit, awkward and a little bit nail biters. But I think the ones who stick with it, I've been seeing some fantastic results across some of the test accounts that I'm running.
Thank you.
So if it works for you, I'm excited to see your journey. And if it's not for you, I'm sure we'll see you on the other side of a deal at some point. All right, gentlemen. If so, you have my contact info. If you guys have any questions following this, please feel free to reach out. The replay will be live on the Northern Alliance Network there, so you can come back to it if you have questions. But here to be a resource for you guys, so reach out if you need it.
Great. Thanks very much.
All right, have yourselves a good rest of your day.
You too.
Thank,
Bye now.
thank you.